you know, this whole hair transplant thing really opened me up to the idea of things getting better. I think one of the things about having a hair transplant that's kind of inspiring is the fact that you get it done or you take the medicine or whatever it is, and then suddenly things start getting better. It was actually kind of funny when I was talking to Adam, who was the guy who was like the first guy who was like super bald to get Exosome, Exaflow injections. And I met Adam in person, and he didn't have a lot of hair at all. It wasn't any kind of hair that you'd look at and go, that guy has good hair. It wasn't that. And yet he was so happy and he was so overjoyed with the fact that he had this little bit of hair on the top of his head that it had now grown. And that's when I really realized that it's not always about having the perfect Elvis looking head of hair, that so much of it is actually an emotional thing, losing your hair, of like when you start to reverse that process, that any growth in the right direction and any especially significant movement in the right direction is really like good for your soul. It really just makes you feel like, wow, like I'm taking control. I am reversing this. I There is hope. So the same guy Avinash, I think his video might be up on my channel. If not, it'll be up in the next day or two. I know I scheduled it. Um, and please ask me questions. There's like a question box over here. So please, any questions? That's why I'm getting on live, is so I can just answer your questions. Ask me questions. All right. Um, Avinash was the same thing. Like he still doesn't have great hair, at all. But he's so happy. And he literally was like depressed, divorced, no girlfriend, no job. And then he started getting his hair back and everything changed because he just felt like, wow, I can do this. I can reverse my hair loss. If I can reverse my hair loss, and me just being an old balding guy isn't the end of the story, then I can start reversing everything in my life. And now he's got a beautiful girlfriend, a great job, and is just a much happier person. So, anyway, I've seen the power of reversing things. So, I'm going to talk about me reversing things besides my hair today. That's why I did that silly thumbnail with me going like this. So, with me, my skin has never been good. I had like a lot of acne when I was a kid, and then even after that, even like after I got rid of most of my acne, I just never felt like my skin was good, and I never liked putting, like, creams and stuff on my skin. I didn't really get the point. Would you recommend SMP plus a hair transplant? Okay, cool. Um, Before we get back into my story, I'll answer Tony's question. This is the tough part about answering questions like this, is that it really all depends on the individual and their situation. And that's why it's hard to answer a question like, would you recommend SMP plus a hair transplant? And by the way, me recommending something, that's not like my medical recommendation. I'm not a doctor or anything. That's just when I'm answering, I'm saying what I would do for myself if I was in your position. First, you have to think about like SMP is generally better actually and looks better on guys that actually have more hair. Now, you'll see a lot of videos of guys online that have SMP and they're like bald guys, but they've got like a tattoo, and it like kind of looks like that Vin Diesel, like they've got a hairline, right? The guys that I've seen in person that have that done, it looks a little bit unnatural. Um, and it looks, especially if their skin is light colored. So it really depends on your hair, your skin color. If your skin color is like a darker color, like you're more like African American type, then the SMP on like a bald guy, that might work then. That it's gonna be more natural looking. On a guy that's got like light hair, let's say you've got blonde hair and you're a bald guy, you do not want to get SMP done. It's not gonna work because the shading and all of that, it just like won't work correctly from everything that I've seen anyway. So, it's the same thing with, like, if you have, um, blonde hair or light colored hair, and then you get S&P done, it's gonna be kind of tough from what I've seen to match that up so that it masks that well. So, generally, the darker your skin is, the better S&P is going to be for you with a hair transplant or without a hair transplant. The darker the skin, because that pigment that they put in your skin is quite dark, right? I haven't seen one where it was like a lighter color pigment, but maybe I just haven't done enough research. That's totally possible. But the ones that I've seen, darker skin looks better. I've had S&P done 3 or 4 times, and it doesn't last that long. It seems to last, the first time was the least. It lasts maybe like 2 or 3 months, and I'll answer all your questions, by the way. Like 2 or 3 months, the next time was maybe like 6 months, the next time was like 8 months. It seemed to last a little bit longer each time, but still mostly went away within about a year for me. So, at this point, I have very little S&P coloring in my hair. But that said, it is kinda nice because during the time when it was in my skin, it made my hair look thicker, you know? So that was really cool. I mean, it was kinda like having just a permanent concealer on your head. So that's the answer, Tony, is that, yes, if you have a hair transplant and you have, like, darker hair and you wanna make it look thicker, then S&P could potentially help you. Probably would look thicker. Sorry for the long answer. Alright. So what about cloning hair? It will be possible in the near future. From everyone I've talked to, cloning hair will not be possible in the near future. Even when it is possible, it's still gonna be quite complicated, probably extremely expensive to start. So that doesn't look like something that I would, if I was you, losing your hair, don't even think about hair cloning at this point. Like, there's just no reason to. It's like thinking about, like, time travel. Will time travel be possible in the future? Probably pretty decent chance it will be, you know? It doesn't seem beyond the realm of possibility, but why be thinking about it now unless that's something you're working on yourself, trying to create, you know? Have you experienced any libido decrease from finasteride? Also, any increased heart rate from oral minoxidil? These are no's on both of these. Yep, libido is fine. No decrease that I've noticed from finasteride. Honestly, I had a pretty high libido when I was younger. I'm older now, so, like, your libido slows down as you age anyway, but it's not at the point, like, slowed down that honestly, most of my life, I've kind of wished my libido would slow down. So, yeah, it's good. Also, any increased heart rate? No increased heart rate from oral minoxidil. Do you think it's a good idea to start taking finasteride at 19 if I did my blood test and my DHT levels are higher than normal? Um, well, if you're losing your hair, then yes. I mean, finasteride seems to be the most proven, strongest thing that people can take, and have readily available to them because, there are other things, dutasteride and these other things, but finasteride is like the most readily available, proven thing that you can take for hair loss. So if you're worried about losing your hair or you're noticing that you are at all, then consult a doctor. But I wish that I had taken finasteride and more seriously and younger and all that personally. Why don't you just embrace aging gracefully? This seems like an insane amount of time and energy and doesn't seem sustainable long term. That's a great question, actually. Um, okay, so I'm actually meaning to make a video about this, but okay, so one of my favorite thinkers is Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett says, when he speaks, I've seen him say this a few different times. He says, if you, when you were 16, were given a car and you were told that was the only car that you would have for the rest of your life. It's the only car you'd ever be able to drive. That was your one and only car. That's it. You've got it. How would you treat that car? Would you take it and go get it washed? regularly? Would you make sure that it always had an oil change? Would you buff it out? Would you give it a new paint job when it needed a new paint job? Personally, I would do all of those things. I would take very good care of that car. I would think, "This is my only car forever," you know? Um, Even if I'm not a vain person or um, a materialistic person, still, this is my only car, and I've got this beautiful car. I want to maintain it. And that's exactly the same for our bodies. We only have one body. This is it. We get this body for our lifetime. Um, I The whole idea of embrace aging gracefully. That doesn't. I am embracing aging. Um, yeah, I think like, I'm embracing it, but embracing aging gracefully and taking care of your body, those are completely different things. I mean, it's the same thing if you said to a kid that was 15 years old that had really messed up teeth, they had really crooked teeth. Would you tell them, "Oh, well, those are your teeth, they work fine. You can chew food just fine with your teeth. Like, why get braces? Like, why don't you just embrace who you are?" Well, because they wanna smile and have a beautiful smile for the rest of their life. They only have 1 set of teeth. So, that's the same thing for hair, I my life has been better. My life was great before when I was pretty bald, like, young and bald. It was already great. I had an amazing life. I traveled all over the world, made great money, slept with beautiful girls. It was amazing. I had a great life, but it's been even better since I've had hair, like, noticeably better. So, yeah, why not? So, and I'll get into the I called this video something about, like, you have to put a title. I just had more cosmetic surgery done. So I'll go into that in just a second once I've answered all your questions. Next one. Any news advancements on exosomes? Doesn't seem like much is being said about its results. Oh man. So I actually just got an email from Steve Cook, who works with Dr. McGrath, and he just sent me a bunch of before and after pictures for exosomes. I wonder if I can. I don't think I can put in the comments here um, an attachment. Otherwise, I just attach this attachment. Yeah, I'll make a video before long, and it'll have all the before and after pictures. Steve just sent me like a ton of before and after pictures. I don't work with exosomes or exaflow or whatever regularly, so I just have to wait until other people send me pictures. There hasn't been any like advancements or anything. They're still just using exaflow. Now, Dr. McGrath has injected think 400 patients with Exaflow. So there have been a couple people that have not responded at all to it, but it's only been a couple out of like 400. So the vast majority have seen noticeable improvement in their hair. And Steve got Exaflow injections as well, my friend Steve Cook, and his hair noticeably improved. Axel says, I've been taking Finasteride for 7 months and no side effects. Just wanted to say that. Keep up the great work. Oh, thank you so much. Always nice to have compliments. Got here late, missed what new thing you did. Okay, Xavier, I actually haven't even gone into what new thing I did. So I'll get into that in just a second. I just wanted to try and answer everyone's questions too. Um, oh, you're welcome, Jared. I took finasteride for 4 months and had libido and extreme fatigue side effects. After a trichologist told me that I can take anti-androgens because I had gynecomastia in the past. I can't take anti-androgens because I gotten gynecomastia in the past. Okay, yeah, that's, man, it's too bad. Yeah. Everybody reacts differently to different medications. I've said in a couple of my videos that I'm allergic to acetaminophen, which is Tylenol. It's that's the generic name or brand name or non-brand name for Tylenol, and I've had to been shot up with EpiPens because I couldn't breathe from taking Tylenol. So everybody's got their stuff that they react badly to. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate. All our bodies are unique. Do you have 3 FUT scars and thought they would squeeze all FUT scars into one? Yep, I have 3 FUT scars or sort of like 2.5. So, My second surgery, they tried to cut out a little bit of the scar, but the surgeon went way too low in the back, and that was just it was a bad thing. But yeah, so I have that one. Then my third surgery, which was with Dr. McGrath, he didn't want to go in the same place as the other surgeon because that would be bad, and that's why I was left with a big scar because he went so far in the back here. Um, so I don't think you guys can really see, but I can try and show you. So here, this is the FUT scar from my second surgery. It's like very low, so it's way lower than the surgeon. You should never go this low. This is beyond the safe zone, right back here. Then Dr. McGrath did the surgery. It was like here. It was in this kind of area. I don't think you can even really see it. I don't know, but it was like way higher. So yeah. So that's why I have a few different. But honestly, the thing is, here's the thing: is the whole scar thing. It's like I don't get the worry, especially at this point. I don't understand the worry. And let me explain briefly. I'll try and briefly. So if you get a hair transplant, if you've gone into it with a good plan, then you shouldn't ever be shaving your head. Like, I'm never, ever in the future going to shave my head, like, bick it down and be a bald guy. I'm never going to do that. Right. So, why do I care about if I have like an FUT scar, you know? I mean, you saw the one from Dr. McGrath, this one that's up here towards there. You can't even see it. Like I've never even seen that scar. It's so small. It's only the one where the surgeon who did it before him went way too low that you can even see that scar ever, you know? So I'm never gonna shave my head, so it doesn't really matter if I have an FUT scar or not, you know? And at this point, with between the different medications that there are, between body hair transplants, which are expensive, but you can get them done, like, I'm never gonna be a bald guy, you know? And I think if you go into it with a good plan, depending on how much hair um, you've lost and all that kind of stuff. Oh, yes, Lil Mai said it matters if you have a military hairstyle style haircut. That's totally true. I don't ever plan to have a military style haircut, and even the scars that Doctor McGrath gave me, I think I could even get a pretty military style haircut, not like completely, shaved, but it could be really short and you wouldn't see that. So all right, let's go to some of the other questions here. What do you think about appearance of pimples after an FUE hair transplant? I've been getting some month 3 post-op, not that much, but they appear here and there. Have you had to deal with that? Yes. Yeah, because you can even still see one here because I had the body hair transplant. And so, let's see if I can pop this up. So, yeah, they took the I'll get closer to the camera in just a second. They took the hairs from underneath my neck. So there's still there's still one, like, ingrown hair thing there. You can see it here. Yeah, it's, like, right there. So, yes, you're gonna get those ingrown hair pimples with, with an FUT, FU FUE, or I mean, I think I got some with FUT as well when some of the hairs were growing in. I think the difference is with FUE is you can get them when the hairs grow in, and you can get them from the place that they take the hairs from. So you can sort of get them in both places with FUE. But yeah, it's something that I think everyone has to deal with, no matter how good the surgeon is and all that. It's just our body healing. Do you even need to be on finasteride after you've had 3 hair transplants? Absolutely. Yes. If you want your hair to look the best, then you have to be. This is something I try to make clear and I've said in a bunch of videos, but I feel like it's still most people don't seem to get it. Um, eh, and that's I don't think people advertise this enough because it's like bad advertising for hair transplants, is that your transplanted hair can still miniaturize and still fall out. People think, "Okay, well, I took it from the side, so this is like the safe hair." Well, that's true, It's less likely to fall out. It's a little less likely to miniaturize, but it still can, and, um, it can still also recede. You can recede down this way, you can have this recession. So, um, yeah, you have to protect your hair after a hair transplant. It's no like get a hair transplant and be done with it. That's just not true. Um, and anyone who thinks that just doesn't have enough experience having had hair transplants and lived with them for a long time. Because in most cases, finasteride is a smart thing to do. Yeah, in most cases, I think it is. Um, yes, okay, so that I mean, that's true. It's this all goes like every answer is a generalization, right? There are people that can have a hair transplant, never get on finasteride, and be perfectly fine. But there are people that don't have real progressive hair loss. There are people, there are guys that you'll see them and they're like 60 years old, 65 years old, and they just have like a little bit of thinning like right here, right? And those guys, they're not gonna like lose all their hair. They just maybe had a little bit of like, age recession and they just want to have their hairline come down a little bit so they look a little bit younger. And those guys, they don't need to be on finasteride. But like if you're a young person, if you're already like if you're at 25, 30, and this sort of age range, and you already have significant hair loss, then you're one of the people like me whose hair loss is very much progressive and whose genetics are working against them when it comes to hair. And you're somebody that needs to do everything you can, preventative hair loss wise. For those of us that have never had a hair transplant, can you give us a brief explanation on what the surgery is like, pain, recovery, etc.? Um, If you have an FUE surgery and it's done by a great surgeon, you're gonna have virtually no pain at all. Steve just had an FUE surgery done by Dr. McGrath's team. He told me 0 pain. He was at the office, worked 9 hours, the next day. He'd never had an FUE surgery done before. That was his first one. I had the FUE surgery done, by Dr. Mwamba a couple months back and I had 0 pain. I drove myself home that night. I drove myself, 4 hours back to Nashville the next day. Everything was totally fine. Um, with FUT surgery, kind of the same, but also kind of different. So when I had my one surgery with Dr. McGrath, and it all depends on how good the surgeon is because some people they're like it's horrible. Like, and this all comes from, how deep the surgeon cuts, how much numbing fluid they use, how different kinds of medication that you're on, also how your body responds as well. But a lot of it, the recovery really does have to do with the surgeon and how good they are, how they stitch you up, all that kind of stuff. I'd had very little to no pain with my surgery, my FUT surgery with Dr. McGrath. That said, there is more, how will I say, uh, cumbersome. It is more annoying. There is more annoyance with FUT because you have this, this stitch in your head. So it's just more annoying. And especially, I mean, for me, FUT, the worst part of the surgery is about 7 to 10 days later when those stitches start to heal and it just itches. So I mean, that's annoying. So you can't wait for those stitches to come out. That said, I mean, I was going on dates with my stitches still in my head. I was literally like wore a baseball cap and like went on dates in New York City and had great dates while having stitches in my head from FUT. So it's not like wasn't like this horrible pain thing. It was just an annoyance. All right, cool. What is the cost difference between hair transplant and body hair transplant? Generally, from what I know, I don't look into cost stuff a lot, so that I'm not the right guy to ask about that. But body hair transplants are generally more expensive because they take a lot longer to do. 26 to give you an idea, I had 700 grafts taken out of the bottom of my neck, and it took like close to 12 hours. It was like a full day doing that, and it's only 700 grafts. 12 months, just no signs, results been okay, that's great, also okay. My doctor said I shouldn't take finasteride because he thinks I'm too young, but I'm 19 years old. Um, Yeah, I would maybe get another doctor's opinion on that. He said he's too young to take finasteride at 19 years old. Yeah, so maybe get another doctor's opinion. He could be right. If he's a doctor, I don't know, but not all doctors have the same opinion. So you might want to get a couple people's opinion and then make your own decision. Does the combo pill of finasteride and minoxidil worry you because of oral minoxidil potentially being bad for you long term? I'm on the combo, but wondering if I should switch to just finasteride down the road. Um, it doesn't worry me being on this combo pill, oral finasteride and minoxidil. You know, could it worry me? I mean, you can worry about anything. Um, I have yet to run into anyone that's had any negative side effects from being on this pill, and I know decent amount of people, at least 10 people, friends, personal friends of mine that are all on it. So, yeah, I'm not worried, but, you can worry about anything. Let me see here. Monoxide finasteride FUE is the best solution right now. Anything on the horizon would be better. I don't know of anything that's, on the near horizon that's gonna be better. I know Breezula, that's one of the next things that they're hoping, but that's pretty much all I know that looks like it's probably gonna happen. Thoughts on FUE expert in Spain? Yeah, I've watched a good amount of their videos. They look like they do really good work. Yeah, from what I can tell. Looks really good. I'll say this, and I'm not saying this as a negative towards their clinic, because from what I can tell, they look like they do amazing work, right? And I don't know them personally or anything like that. But I will say that everyone, you know, uses marketing, right? Uses sales techniques. And they do. In the way that they present their results. And what I mean by that is, the first time I saw one of their videos, I was like, "What the heck? Like, this is just like, how did they do that?" It was almost like magic, right? And then I went back and I watched the video and I was like, "Oh, okay, well, this guy, now that I'm looking at it, he actually had a lot of hair, but, like, they'd shave the middle of his head, so he looked like he literally had no hair on the top of his head, and then suddenly he does a surgery, and suddenly he's, like, got perfect, incredible hair, and also this guy now had, like, the ideal hair. The best hair in the world that you can have for a hair transplant is, like, dark, ropey, thick, kinda Hispanic hair. So you're looking at a guy whose head is like, he's got hair all on the sides, but they've shaved just the middle of his head, and that's his before picture. And then they plant the hair, and actually a lot of the area they drew in, or they didn't draw in, like they weren't even gonna do transplant into, was area that sort of grew back that all looked like it had come in. So you know, there's a lot that can be done to make things look almost too good to be true. And, again, this is not a negative towards their clinic. I commend them for making great looking videos that do a great job of advertising their clinic, right? But, you've also gotta, yeah, just sort of take into account that these are videos that are very well made to present the best thing possible, and they do a better job than most other clinics. A lot of surgeons, even really top surgeons, aren't good at marketing at all and don't have good marketing people. So they just end up having way worse looking videos, you know? So to give you an idea, like my hair just looks so different under different lighting. I mean, like right now, like I've got nothing in my hair and it looks incredible, right? Like it looks so good. And the part of that is there's no overhead lighting. I actually do have a very harsh light here in front of me, so that's not really good for this, but it's gonna make a big difference how the lighting hits and all that kinda stuff, you know? "Hey, David, you already see the results of exosome injections." I haven't taken before and after pictures, but I feel like I did get exosome injections back in July, and I feel like each individual hair strand of mine has become a little bit thicker, but I'm gonna have to, like, go back and do real before and after pictures and see based on the exact same situation, same haircut, all that kind of stuff, same room, same lighting, what the difference really is. Um, yeah, it's so that'll be interesting to tell. I'll do a video once I see that. I think that there's been a little bit of improvement, but Yeah, I don't really wanna say until I've done that exact thing, and kinda apples for apples I can really show. So, can a Norwood 5 have good hair density after a hair transplant? So, um, I don't know what Norwood 5 is off the top of my head, I should look that up, but I'm gonna give you a general, answer for this anyway. Good density is a re is like a relative question. Um, One thing you gotta kinda understand is that density will never be much like more than about 50% of what your original density was when before you lost hair. So it will never be your hair will never feel and look to you exactly like it did before you lost hair. But that said, it can look to other people like it did or even better than before you lost hair. So a hair transplant is very much about creating the look of density, not actual density. So if, can a Norwood 5 have a good hair density after a hair transplant? These things are gonna depend on what kind of hair you have. Do you have, like, thick, dark, ropey kinda hair? Do you have, like, thin, fine, kinda wispy type hair? Then you're never gonna have really good, like, looking density. What color your hair is, what color your skin is, because the contrast is gonna make a big difference on how the density looks. Um, are you gonna how many hair transplants are you gonna have? Do you have good body hair? Do you have the money to be able to spend on doing body hair if you run out um, of, regular donor hair? All that kinda stuff. Are you on, preventative hair loss treatments? How are you responding to those treatments? All of those things play and is a factor of how your end result is going to be. So to say, is it possible? Yes, probably. Um, or maybe not. Hope that makes sense. What do you think about hair systems in terms of how it looks? Also, the psychological component of wearing it. It seems like the current hair systems are quite nice looking. Yeah, I've seen great looking hair systems in person where I never would have had any idea that the person was wearing a hair system. So, a few of my friends run hair system channels on YouTube. Jake Kent, he runs a hair system channel, and Curtis, I forget his last name. My Hair Experience is his channel, My Hair Experience. And uh, quick question: do you still have SMP? My SMP is not. No, you can't really see much SMP in my hair anymore. It's pretty much all kind of washed out because I haven't done it in over a year now. Um, so yeah, my quick kind of thoughts on the hair system thing. All of my friends that have hair systems, um, those people, they've gotten like quite confident in it in themselves. So I think that psychologically, like, they're in a good place from what I can tell. Obviously, I don't know them, I can't see in their minds, but from what I can tell, they're psychologically in a good place with it. That said, they also are willing to admit it to the world. I think if you're wearing a hair system and you're not telling everyone you have a hair system, you're kinda hiding it. I think that being in that place of hiding something is kind of not a good emotional place to be in. Um, because you're always gonna have that fear of people finding out, and living in fear of anything is just gonna, uh, not be a feel good. It's not gonna, like, be a healthy way to live. So, I feel like if you're gonna have a hair system, you need to be very confident in telling people that. You have to be like, like Dolly Parton, she wears a wig, right? And she tells everyone she wears a wig. She literally has said, like, "I've only had one public picture of me ever taken where I wasn't wearing a wig." So, you know, you've gotta be willing to admit that if you want to psychologically be able to live with a hair system. And that said, all the guys I know with hair systems still, if they could trade it to have their real hair back or a great looking hair transplant, I think that they would. But I think it's also a way to go, you know? Like, yeah, I kind of sometimes I think that I wish I would've tried a hair system out just to, like, try it out, before I ever got a hair transplant just to see. I wish that I had that experience to be able to share with people because that's a big part of this channel is being able to share, my experience and help people hopefully through that. Would I get S&P again? Um, so me personally, well, Dr. McGrath does my S&P for free. So yes, I'll probably get it again because it definitely makes my hair look thicker every time that I get it. So yeah, I'll get S&P again probably. If I was having to pay for S&P, I guess I just have to figure it out as like a cost thing. Um, yeah, it's like a cost thing to decide whether it was worth it for me. Honestly, with my hair as it is now, I probably wouldn't if I was having to pay for it because I like my hair now. And yeah, if I wanted to just look really amazing and extra thick and harsh lighting and all that stuff, I would just put some concealer in it. I usually don't wear concealer. Maybe once every like 2 weeks, I put concealer in my hair, just when I'm got some event or doing a music video shoot or just wanted to look like extra good going out to like an event or something. So yeah, I probably would just do that. I probably wouldn't spend the money on it if I was having to pay for it myself. Yeah, because again, I also have, like, pretty good-looking hair, so it's not hard to just make it look amazing, basically. Alright, talk about S&P, please do. What's your views? Peace from England. Okay, cool. I think I've talked about S&P quite a bit, so if you wanna watch this video back, I talked, like, for 10 minutes about S&P, so I won't go over it again. Okay, what other cosmetic procedures are you doing? Um, yeah, so that okay, let me talk about this. Okay, so this is what I just did, and I wanted to this is actually the reason I got on here, though I haven't talked about it yet, is I've always had this kinda, like, not great skin. I started using retinol or Retin-A, I think it's called that, yeah, my girlfriend just gave it to me to use. It's the stuff that she uses, and it made my skin actually look a good bit better, so I was kinda surprised. I think it's got the retinol or Retin-A stuff in it. I don't remember even what brand it is. So that started making my skin look a good bit better. So I went to a little med spa place nearby where I live, and I talked to them. I said, "Hey, like, what can I do that's gonna really make a difference for my face?" And they're like, "You should do a three-step chemical peel." So I said, "Okay, you know what? I'm willing to give it a shot. The hair transplant thing went well. Sign me up." So I used this retinol, Retin-A stuff for like 6 weeks. They told me I had to do that. And then I went about a week ago and I got a chemical peel done. And it only took, I don't know, like 20 minutes to put this chemical stuff on your face. And then a few days later, my skin started peeling like I had had a sunburn, you know? And my skin right now looks the best that I can remember in my adult life it looking. You're not gonna be able to see because this is just like a, you know, MacBook video thing, but my skin looks like it feels soft. It feels like soft baby skin. Like, it just looks more even, everything about it. So, if you guys, you fix your hair or you even haven't done that, you're, like, waiting for your hair to grow in, your hair transplant, and you just wanna look better than you already do, and your skin doesn't already look awesome, go get a like, three-step chemical peel. You have to do the retinol, Retin-A stuff. Like, they'll tell you about that hopefully if they know what they're doing. You have to do that for, like, about a month or 2 beforehand to, like, prep your skin for it. But then you get this done, and yeah, it's incredible. It actually really works. See if we can yeah, it's not gonna you're not gonna be able to see, plus I've got this harsh lighting there, so it just looks kind of blown out. But anyway, I was, um I was really impressed by that. So that's the newest, like, little skincare cosmetic procedure that I just had done, and I don't know how often you can have it done, maybe, like, once a year or something, but I'm gonna however often you can have that done, I'm gonna keep doing it because it it made a huge difference. What's your opinion on Breezula? So, yeah, I'll give you I wanna kind of explain to you guys how I look at medicines for hair, or treatments for hair loss. Um, there are people on YouTube who have channels that just that's what they do is they just talk about hair loss treatments, all these upcoming things and what they might do or what their opinion is, or going over the clinical trials and studies for all of this stuff, and try and like break down whether they're professionals or they've got degrees or not, or whatever that is. They try and break all this down um and explain that, you know, on YouTube videos. And that's awesome. I think that's really cool that they do that. That said, I don't I don't try and do that. Um and I don't try and develop an opinion on something based on some trials or some medical paper that I read based off of it. And the reason is that all of these, no matter how many of these trials are done, and even if things like finasteride that is FDA approved, right? This is FDA approved. All these different trials have been on it. Still, everyone's got a different opinion about finasteride, right? I've talked to guys on the phone that say it's ruined their lives, and they they're like it's like the devil to them, and they think all the trials are completely BS and like we're skewed and all this kind of stuff. I've talked to guys on the phone like that, like multiple people, and I get comments on like every video that I make about finasteride, saying anything positive about it, and people say, "You're just working for Merck, and you're like, God help you that you're promoting this horrible thing." And then there's other people that say, "Oh no, this is great. Looked at all the studies, all these people that are saying these things, they're completely like full of BS and all this," right? So you have all these different sides, and so the way that I just take in all this information, through my YouTube channel. I've been doing videos about hair loss now for like 6 years. I talk to a lot of guys personally who are dealing with hair loss, who are trying different things, and those are like my personal friends, and those guys like my friend Steve Cook, who's talking to guys who are losing their hair every single day, and we sort of join up and we go, "Okay, what are you hearing about? Like, what's working?" And so and then I'll try things for myself and go, "Okay, cool. Did this make a difference? Did it not make a difference?" I get emails from guys every week that are telling me different things. They're sending me the before and after pictures of different things that they're trying. And so I sort of take in all of this information, and that's how I will read the medical papers and things as well. So like I take in all this information, and then I try and decide what seems to make sense to me. What so I mean, that's like where I come from. So when you ask me something like, "What's your opinion on Breezula?" It sounds promising. I've watched some videos on it. Um, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, I don't know anybody who's used it that's had these life-changing results from it. If I start getting messages on a regular basis from guys saying, "Hey, I used Breezula and it just was so much better for me," then I'll put, like, more thought into it, or do more study on it, or maybe try it myself. Like, dutasteride is one of those things that I actually know enough people personally now who have done topical dutasteride, like, injections and stuff, that seems to be something that really is working from what I can tell, because 'cause I've talked to people personally, like, my personal friends that are doing that and that have had really good results with it. So yeah, I getting into all of these things like hair cloning and all that, like, that's not really my thing. I'd rather give you more information that isn't just me interpreting a study, that's instead me interpreting my own experience, if that makes sense. I also do not use Bruce's because of the size. David need to be ingesting collagen powder every day. Good kid comes from within, and drink clean water of the day. Thank you so much for that advice. Yep. I don't take collagen every day. I appreciate that suggestion. Yeah, I might start doing that. So I'm gonna, and then I do drink lots of water. I always knew that that was good. So I drink lots of water throughout the day. You post a link to the exact type of chemical peel you had done. Um, I don't yeah, I know that there are a bunch of different types of chemical peels. So, actually, what's funny is the girl who was doing mine actually was telling me about a different three-step chemical peel that she thinks is even better. So, no, I'm not a chemical peel expert, so I'm not gonna tell you which one to get done. I don't think that would be fair of me. Um, but if you go talk to, a local skincare place. Talk to a couple of them. I mean, that's what I did. When I was calling around about the, um, chemical peels, I actually called 3 different clinics, and I talked to the nurses there, about all the 3 different nurses and asked them their opinions on chemical peels and all this stuff, and sort of just got a feeling as to what they said as to what I believed or what I thought would be best or who seemed to know what they were doing the best. Um, it's the same thing I did. I recently had to hire a lawyer, and so I ended up talking to 5 different lawyers about the same case, deciding on which one I was gonna hire, and so the first one I talked to, they said they gave me all this information. I thought, "Wow, they really know what they're doing." And then, um yeah, sure, I'm happy to answer that question. Then I talked to the next lawyer, and that lawyer I realized after talking to him that the last guy didn't really know what he was doing that well. Then I talked to the next lawyer and I realized, oh, wow, this guy's actually smarter than the other two. And then I talked to the next one. I go, well, this guy definitely doesn't know what he's talking about because the other guys gave me this information. And then I got to my fifth lawyer. And then I realized, oh, wow, this guy really seems to have it together. And I had better questions to ask by that time. And then I ended up deciding, to hire that lawyer. So I think it's good to talk to a few different people and then sort of put all that information together. So that's how I would research chemical peels as well. How much in total have you spent on your hair transplants? In total on hair transplants has been around $30,000. It was about $30,000 all told with the 3 hair transplants. The last one I got done for free. Um, yeah, Dr. Mwamba did that for free in exchange for me just documenting the process and everything like that. Honestly, there was literally no talk about like money or what I was going to do or any of that kind of stuff. It was really good. It felt very good and natural. It was just like, hey, um, yeah, I'm willing to do this for you, and you can document it. You can do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's just like do this. And he was highly recommended, so I knew that I knew he was going to do a great job. Um, and then it seemed like that. So that's the way I like to do with anyone that I work with in any kind of, you know, reciprocal situation or financial situation or anything like that is I don't want them to have control over what I do. And I don't want to feel like um, I have to say anything in particular because of, what they're giving me. And I'm definitely not going to sign any kind of, contract saying that I'll only say this or only say that or whatever. Can you comment on body hair transplant, yield rates, and the risk of transection involving diffuse thinners? Has Dr. Mwama addressed this? So, um, yeah, I mean, the body hair transplant yield rates, it seems to mainly be based on the surgeon from what Dr. Mwamba said anyway. It's really just it's very difficult to do. Let me kind of give you an idea of a good way I think to think about FUE. As a FUE procedure, literally they're punching this hole and they have to follow where the hair is going, but it's below the skin and they can't see which direction it's going or how it's curling or anything like that below the skin. So, and the thing is, body hair is even trickier to do than regular hair because it's more inconsistent. And the widths of it or our diameters are more inconsistent. All this kind of stuff. So, Um, it's kind of similar to if a artist has to close their eyes and draw a perfect circle. So this is basically what they're doing because they're closing their eyes to do the punch because they can't see. It's the same equivalent because they can't see below the skin, right? So it's like an artist is closing their eyes and has to over and over, like 1,000 times, like 1,000 graphs, has to draw a perfectly round circle. And if they don't draw a perfectly round circle, then they kill the graft, then they transect the follicle. So that's a very, very difficult thing to do over and over and over and over again, 1,000 times perfectly. And the fact that it takes a long time. So it's literally hours of the same thing over and over. So it's important to understand how difficult that is. But if you find an incredible artist, someone that has years and years of experience and a million punches behind them that can just over and over do perfect circles blindfolded, then, yeah, then you're gonna be in good hands. Um, Diffuse thinners generally are not good candidates for hair transplants because, um, yeah, generally not good transplant candidates. So you'd have to talk to him a little bit more about that. He's a really, honest guy, so he'll tell you, like, if you shouldn't get a hair transplant done. Um, Kid, what hair loss meds do you currently use? I just made a video about that, so that's probably best if you just watch that video. But currently, I use a laser helmet. It's the iRestore Professional, and then I take just one pill every day, which is a combo pill of minoxidil, 5 milligrams, 1.1 milligrams finasteride, 1 milligram of biotin. It's just one little pill that's made by a compounding pharmacy called Stonegate Pharmacy. So, all right, guys. Well, that is it. I'm gonna wrap up because I've been talking for 52 minutes, and I'm looks like I've done answering your questions. So, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all these great questions. It's really my pleasure to be able to help you in any way. That's why I have this channel. Oh, sorry, Gus, I missed your question. Let's look up here. Okay. Hi, Gus. David, recommend a good doc in California or New York. I live in Mexico. I got a hair transplant 11 months ago, but didn't have good results. I got 2,000 grafts in my hairline, but like 40% failed at the 4-month period. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, and then Steven also asked one question that I missed. Sorry about that. Which is how many grafts do you have left in your donor zone for another potential surgery? I don't know how many. I'll start to answer Steve's faster because it's first because it's faster. I don't know how many grafts I have left in my donor zone. Um, but a good amount. I think I have a good amount of grafts left. So I think I could have a pretty major FUE surgery still done. And I probably will get another body hair transplant surgery done. Um, yeah, just kinda for the heck of it because, why not? It's fun to have more hair. Um, so, yeah, but I couldn't tell you exactly really for a surgeon to know, they would have to really get in there, shave my head down, and look under a microscope. That's the only way to really get a great idea of, how many grafts I have left. But I still have a lot because I had those FUT surgeries, and they were actually a lot of them were lower. I've got, like, all this donor area right there that's, yeah, still available for FUE. So Gus, there are some great, surgeons in California, and I'm pretty sure there are in New York as well. Probably are in Mexico. I don't do, like, doctor recommendations just because it's not something that I keep up with, and I don't know, it just seems like unless I know a doctor personally and I've had them work on me personally, um, it seems like a big leap of faith, you know, um, for me to do that. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of responsibility also. Um, because then I'm like vouching for that person, like Dr. Mwamba, I feel like I can vouch for him because I've had him work on me. Like I know who he is as a person. I've hung out with him, we've had lunch together a couple times. Like Dr. McGrath, like I know I can vouch for him. I've stayed at his house, he's like I've watched him do I don't know, at least 20 surgeries on other people as well as me. So, um, those are people that I have like close relationships with, right? For, um, yeah, for those other surgeons, I mean, I know that Dr. McGrath, when he had his surgery done, he went to Dr. Balbach Hatiavati, I think is his last name at the Alvi Armani clinic. So that's how he had his surgery done. So I mean, I could guess him because he lives in California and like Dr. McGrath was a president of ABHRS last year, and he's not going to go to like a clinic or a surgeon that's not awesome to get his own hair transplant done. So I'm sure he's great. But other than that, like that's the only person I really know. He's in California. I think Beverly Hills. That's why I always put Steve Cook's phone number, because Steve Cook, I literally just got off the phone with him, like, half an hour ago. He's one of my best friends in the world, and he really does keep up on lots of various surgeons, and he's been in the hair transplant industry for, like, 30 years or something like that now. Um, so he's a much better person to ask about, you know, who what surgeons to go to. So he'll, yeah, give you a much, broader range of people and all that kind of stuff. And he has personal relationships with a lot of those doctors and has worked for a lot of top doctors and stuff like that. So anyway, cool. I think that's pretty much it then. Feel exosomes are safe and effective. I definitely feel that they're safe. And yeah, I mean, based on the results, I think they are effective. Uh, you know, efficacy is there's a range when it comes to that. So yeah, like, is it helpful for most people who do it? Yes. Most people who do it, from everything that I've seen, have a positive result from exosomes, but it's not a cure for baldness. It's not gonna take you from a totally bald guy to a guy with a big full head of hair? So, but yeah, it does seem to be helpful for sure. Yeah, for my money, would I spend money on getting it done myself? Yes, I would. I would spend money on doing that over getting SMP done. I would rather spend money on exosomes personally, on getting like Exaflow injections. Um, I didn't go into this. Maybe I'll do it on a future video of mine. But I actually had some other really positive like physical reactions to exosomes that had nothing to do with my hair. So that was actually pretty life changing. So yeah, I think exosomes. I'm really glad that I got it done. Sorry, I missed your question, kid. Sorry. Answer my question about FUT or FUE for a 25-year-old that has Norwood 3, in your opinion, on Dr. Raul lately. Yeah, again, not going to go into stuff about like different doctors. I just try and stay away from that kind of stuff. But FUT or FUE for 25-year-olds, Norwood 3. So let me go look at a picture of Norwood 3. I'll have this Norwood scale. Let me look at this real quick. I don't have it memorized. All right, Norwood 3. Gotcha. Cool. I'm taking a look now. Um, sorry, whoops. FUT or FUE. Um, I mean, again, I think it all really comes down more so to the surgeon than it does to which of those two surgeries you pick. Um, Also, it depends on how you want to cut your hair and how you're responding to preventative treatments. So, if you're on finasteride already and you haven't seen any progression in your hair loss since in the like since 6 months after you got on finasteride, then I think that you should be pretty good with either one of those things. If you're not like set on shaving your head down on the sides and getting that military style haircut, I probably would go for FUT, because it's probably gonna be cheaper as far as that versus, FUE for the same surgeon anyway. Um, if you wanna shave your head down on the side, then FUE is gonna make more sense for you. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, but either one, I don't think it matters that much as long as the surgeon is really great. My friend had a hair transplant with Dr. Raw. He's happy with his results for whatever it's worth. Okay, awesome. Well, there you go. So Sal, so kid, was it kid? Yeah, yeah. Sal said that his friend had a hair transplant with Dr. Raul. That's one thing that I'll say about these surgeons, and this probably has nothing to do with Dr. Raul, but make sure that if you're going to a clinic to get surgery done with a certain surgeon, or if that surgeon is like the surgeon at that clinic that is known, make sure that that surgeon is the surgeon doing your surgery, because there are a lot of clinics that have like a famous surgeon who's really great working there, but that surgeon stays too busy. And so they sort of like pass people off to their lesser surgeons that are also working at the same clinic. And they go, well, so and so famous surgeon is busy, but like you can get this person and it'll be $2,000 cheaper. So just um, make sure that, Dr. Raul is who did Sal's friends, and then Dr. Rahal is also who's going to do your surgery. That's what I'll say mainly about that. And if that's the case, sounds like you should be great. Hi David. I talked to Steve Cook for some advice in regards to HLC clinic and on carb. He did not reply. I texted him on WhatsApp. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's possible that he could not know. Um, yeah, that I don't think he's as familiar with clinics outside of the U.S. I will say that. I'm losing here for over a decade. Been on minoxidil for 2 years, finasteride for 3 years, 2.5. THC blood level. Switch to Avidart. Okay. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to read here. Runha 89's thing. My hair loss seemed to stop to slow down much better than finasteride, but I still need to use hair fire. Okay, cool. So you're saying that Avidart helped him much more than finasteride. Cool. That's awesome. Upgraded to dutasteride and considering adding topical anti-androgens such as Kevin Mann's channel. Yep, I do. I watch Kevin Mann's channel. Yep. And the hair loss show, I haven't watched their videos. I've watched more plates, more dates videos. Um, yeah, it's good. It seemed like I will say that not agree with her. They can only thicken up a little bit and tenderize hairs if catch early. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with kid with what I've chosen in terms of FUT and all of that. I like that because, like I said, I'm not going to shave the sides of my head. I've never had to desire to like that's never really been my go-to haircut. And yeah, and it's cool that now I can get FUE done, and I have lots of donor area for that. So um, yeah, I watched, Kevin Mann's channel, a lot and More Plates, More Dates. Like I said, the Hair Loss Show, I haven't watched their channel. I think it's good to watch a lot of different channels when it comes to, hair loss, um, because I will say that, like Kevin Mann has a very strong perspective, you know? Um and More Plates, More Dates as well. Like they both have very strong perspectives. I guess I do too. Um, Everyone sort of has perspective based off of their own experiences, right? And so I think it's really important when watching everyone's channel to understand that their perspective, everyone's perspective, isn't necessarily right. It's their perspective, right? Based on their own experience. And it's like my experience. Until I had FUE surgery done, I had a very, like, biased opinion on FUE because I'd never had it done personally, you know? Not necessarily biased one way, like bad or good or whatever, but just like when you don't have any experience with something, then you're only basing your experience off of other people's experience. And having a personal experience is very different, you know? So that's why I also think it's really important when you're watching people's channels about hair transplants to like the more experience with hair transplants, the more surgeries they've had done, the better the more well-rounded their opinion is going to be. That's why I really like talking to Jay International. He was a guy I did an interview with recently. And I would notice that all of his comments on my videos were, like, very smart. They were, like, very well-rounded answers, and so I literally reached out and asked him, like, "Hey, can I interview you for my channel? Because all of your answers when I see your comments are all very smart, like, they all add to the video, and they're just, like, they're well-rounded answers. I can tell that you know what you're talking about, and you're someone with a well-rounded, like, view on this subject." And then I talked to him, and he's had something like in the range of 5 or 7 hair transplants done. So this is a guy that has lots of experience, you know, and he's tried all these different medications and things. So, I will say that when I've watched some people's, hair loss videos, even though I think that they're helpful and they have a lot of great information, because I come from a place as well of having had a lot of different experiences, versus different medications and running a hair transplant channel for like 6 years and four different surgeries and all this kind of stuff. That sometimes I go, okay, well, like I can see where you're coming from, but I can also tell that your experience is very much based on your perspective. So, um, that's why I think it's important that all you guys watch not only my channel, but go watch people's channels like Kevin Man. Go watch Matt Dominance's channels. That's why I brought him on, for interviews and stuff, because it's important to get a lot of different perspectives to have a well balanced view. Um, cool. Thank you so much for that compliment, kid. So yeah, I really appreciate that. All right, man. Well, good luck with your surgery. I'm going to sign off now. Now I've been on for over an hour. Lots of love to you guys. I'm really happy that I can help. And oh, sorry, one more question for John. When I'm Finasteride. Um, at that time when I was in my early 20s, I mean that's like 15 years ago. So no, I didn't consider dutasteride at that time. I mean, at that time there weren't even really like YouTube hair loss videos. So it was just random forums that like were kind of bogus and felt very weird. So at that time, dutasteride was not something that I considered. Yeah, I haven't been in my early 20s in a long time, but I don't look like it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Lots of love to you. See ya.